Welcome to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. On the most recent episode, or at least as of this recording, episode 68 of the Everyday People podcast, friend of the show, Ant Pruitt, was kind enough to give our show a little bit of a promotional shout out and mention that people should listen to us. And so it gave me a great excuse to promote their show because I have honestly a pretty small stable of podcasts I listen to regularly. I have a whole bunch that I'll check in with here and there, but I don't really listen to every week. But there is a small group, I would say might be 9 or 10 total, that I listen to without fail every week. And Everyday People is one of them for really two main reasons. Now, you may find others. I'm not saying these are the only two reasons to listen to the show, but there are two main reasons that I have really grown to love this show, which was on hiatus for a while. I think it was during the time that Ant worked for twit.tv, and then after that ended, he basically brought the show back, which I'm very happy about, because I started listening to it while it was still in hiatus, and I was like, oh man, I hope it comes back, and sure enough, it did. So the two things that I have most reliably gotten out of the show, one is that both Mr. Pruitt and his wife are creative individuals who are attempting to make a living in the creative space. In his case, it's as a content creator. In his wife's case, it's as an actress. And every week, most of the time, they are very upfront and transparent about the difficulties in trying to do that. And that is something that I think that a lot of people do not have the proper appreciation for. I certainly remember when I was younger, when I was coming out of college, I had the delusional fantasy that just because I went to college, had a degree, and could draw, that I was going to get out and in a year I was going to be working for Marvel or DC drawing comics. And about a month after college, I ran straight into a gigantic steel wall called reality and understood that that is not the way that the world works. But I think a lot of people, especially now with TikTok, YouTube, all these influencers and people who make it seem like all you have to do is follow their tips and tricks to be successful, that people have lost that lesson that, no, this is a very difficult thing to do. And even if you're at the top of your field, it is no guarantee that you will be able to survive in a creative profession, if you can even get a career in one. So I think that their discussions and their struggles and their successes, the way they talk about them, the way they're very upfront about them, I think are tremendously beneficial for people to hear. And also, I think that one of the things that I rely on them for is to hear their perspective as people who have lived a radically different life experience than I have. Lando and I have talked about this. I've talked about this myself on Fives, about one of the things that I think people do not do well is incorporate the perspectives and the perceptions of others into how they view the world. Which isn't to say that you should adopt somebody else's way of seeing things, but it is important to understand that each of us as an individual is looking at things and comprehending things and intaking things that are largely informed by our life experience. And that all of us are different, but some of us are more different than others, and some people will simply never be able to truly understand what certain events mean to different types of people. And so I try to, and I don't necessarily do a great job of it, but I try. I do try to hear lots of opinions from different places, as long as they're not bordering into hateful. I just have no tolerance for that. But I think it is important to get lots of different input from different sources, including ones that then don't necessarily challenge your assumptions, although that's good too, but that just kind of color in the borders of what you understand. And I think that many times what the Pruitts talk about, sometimes I know the stories and I have an opinion on them. And in some cases, I just like to hear the fact that maybe I'm not out in crazy land about how I think about certain things. That's nice once in a while. But there are also times where they bring up stories and they talk about people or things that are happening that I don't know anything about. Not because I'm trying to be ignorant of the world, but just because those particular stories didn't come across my field of vision for whatever reason. And like I said, there's many other reasons. It's a very funny show. They've been married for a long time. It's great to kind of hear them going back and forth and talk about being parents, which I have no experience with. I'm not a parent. So again, all these different things that bring new perspectives and new viewpoints to the world, which I enjoy hearing because, you know, could we all sit in echo chambers and hear people that look like us and believe the same things we do, saying the same things all the time? Sure, we could. And I know a lot of people like to do that, and I sort of get it to some extent, but it just doesn't work for me. So this is one of the shows that I rely on to give me kind of a nice rounding of perspectives on different things. So again, it's called Everyday People. I'll have a link in the show notes, and I'm very happy and very kind that they mentioned our show, and I'm happy to return the favor. Later.